Well, good morning. Welcome to a weekly Calm the Chaos update. A number of you had reached out and requested that I provide some quick updates, what's working on and what's coming next. And so I just wanted to take a few minutes and kind of share a little bit with you. Last week I recorded a newsletter about the pumpkin patch wildness, and maybe the highlight of my week was that modeling. So frequently we tend to just want to talk about things and put our values out there and espouse them, but I just really want to encourage living them. And I think that last week I sent a pretty good model of that. We actually called a great big family meeting. All the grandkids invited them for a breakfast. And after a delicious breakfast of sausage and waffles that were just overly abundant, Grandpa called a meeting to order. I even pounded the gavel and I says, the first order of business is to name this business venture I'm proposing with your grandkids. And it was proposed down underneath our house is this beautiful little oak scrub hill, just covered with weeds and whatnot, just weeds and grasses and flowers and that. And I proposed that we plant pumpkins and watermelons and gourds and cucumbers and just grow that thing and then sell it. With my grandkids at the end of the year, teaching delayed gratification, the law of the harvest, work effort, and so on and so forth, and propose that we do that business, and then they get to keep the profits. And boy, were they ever excited about that. I think entrepreneurship runs in this family. So the first order of business was actually to name it, and they call that area the Wildness. So we proposed, even pounding the gavel, pumpkin patch wildness business. It was all unanimous. Even the 1-year-olds were raising their hand. We then had them work their little guts out with the structure at the end of the day. 1, I showed up. 2, I worked hard. 3, I really worked hard, and I even have the scratches to prove it. But they get to self-regulate, and they get to be the ones that decide what score they got. So at the end of the day, I'll tell you, they worked their little guts out. And I was so proud of them. Even the 2-year-olds were carrying sticks around. Now, I'm not sure it was actually that effective. We actually had to have one of the grandkids tend the 1 and 2-year-olds, but it was sure fun to see them engage in that. I'm really looking forward to that business and this regular cadence of engagement all the way from the planting to the watering to the weeding to the harvesting to the selling. I used to do this with my kids, and it was so deep and meaningful. You know, I've lived a big, meaningful life. I've done some crazy, cool things publicly, but nothing is as important. And actually, I think the most significant contribution has been these 5 sons of mine and my Sherpa daughter, too, my Sherpa kids. But they're going to all lap me. And I think that that brings up the next thing I'm super excited about, which is wisdom of a grandfather. I believe that my contribution and our contribution, if you're a little older, the most significant time is actually that as a grandparent. This summer, I'm going to begin writing the most important precipice book of my life. It's going to be The Wisdom of a Grandfather. It's going to be 13 chapters, 12 chapters, one for each of my grandchildren. And as many of you are aware, I had one grandchild that did pass, and a special tender chapter is going to go to him. And I'm going to write a poem and a little story at the beginning of each of those. But 13 is going to be for all my future posterity. I'm so hopped up about writing this. And if you have special thoughts that you'd like to hear, I'd love to hear what ideas you might have. But that begins working this week. The other key thing that I'm working on is the healing modality in the cycle of flow. If you recall, cycle of flow, our personal life in balance, our family or tribal life in balance, our public life in balance, and then wealth, wealth being well, not money, but are we well? Emotionally, mentally, spiritually well, and living all of those values in congruency. The one piece that I'm not the expert at, that I've had to rely on others, is the personal healing work. Reality is we're all just 5-year-olds bumbling around down here. And until we take care of those personal traumas and we actually get to the root of what our defining perspectives might be. In my instance, guilt, shame, and scarcity were used pervasively through the family, and nothing against ancestors, quite the opposite, nothing but honor. But it wasn't until those got extracted that I was actually able to really live a life in harmony and flow. So I have engaged with Kate Mulholland. She's actually out of South Africa, and she is world class at breath work and doing this regulate and restore and reclaim your life to get inflow. So I've got programming coming up in the next several weeks or next several months that we're going to be providing some free content from her. And I know you're just going to love that. So that's a quick update for you. Hope you enjoy it. And I would love to hear back from you, anything you would like to hear me talk on. There is a fairly broad range here, but it always resolves back to how do we live life in flow now, and how do we calm the chaos? How do we plant stability back into our lives and live these abundant, big, joyful, vibrant lives that we're meant to live? And part of that's business. I still love to talk about the business entrepreneurial things. I'm pretty good at it and love to share those models. But more important, can we do it in balance and can we do it in flow? So thanks for taking a few minutes with me, and I always love to hear from you. Have a great week, and just sending you all my blessings forward.